Good evening, welcome back to Carp Shed. You're with me again, Lee Power from Team Catch and Release. I'm going to start looking at rigs over the next few episodes. I'm going to break you in easily with some very simple rigs. So I've got 3 variations of the same rig. It doesn't come more simple than these rigs. I'm using as least amount of components as possible because it can get expensive, it can get fiddly. So I'm going to give you a variation of a double bottom bait rig, a bottom bait rig, a critically balanced bait rig and a pop-up rig. So the components for these is a coated braid. I'm using N-Trap Soft, a curved shank hook which has got a straight point and a slightly inturned eye. If I'm using braid or a coated braid and not a stiff material, I always favour an inturned eye hook. It just helps the way that the line comes out of the eye. It helps flip the hook over in the fish's mouth. If you're using a pattern like this with a stiff material, sometimes the material, if you've not steamed it or pulled it tight enough, it can actually lessen the gape of the hook and make it less effective. So curved shank hook, some rig putter, any brand rig putter you'll do. You could actually use split shot as well if you wanted to, and some hair stops, extender stops, straight stops. If you tie the knot in the wrong place or you want to adjust the size or how many baits you're using, these help you achieve that. Tool wise, knot tighteners, absolutely imperative when tying rigs. You can't get knots tight enough by hand, also you're in danger of ending up with a hook in your hand. So I highly recommend these. £4 and a pair of braid scissors, a baiting needle for helping you tie knots and threading boilies onto the hair. So we'll start off with a double bottom bait rig. So coated material, roughly 12 inches, a foot. Now if you've got good fingernails or even better a stripping tool, I'd recommend using it, but I've not, so I'm going to use my teeth. So I've got roughly 3 inches there. So that's 3 inches stripped, the rest is coated. Don't throw that away because we'll be using that in a minute. So there's your hook. Lay the material on top of the eye there, and you want where it's stripped down to, you want that to sit where your knot's going to finish. So roughly 6mm from the eye up the shank. And a little trick, when you tighten the knotless knot, sometimes it can pull the hair around so it's not sitting correctly. So during the tying process, if you put the hair behind the hook as I'm looking at it and pinch it with your finger down through the eye, then under and away, so that you're avoiding the first turn being where the eye turns round, so you're going around the full metal and not the bit that joins the shank. So under and around, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just pinch it with your finger to hold it in place. back through the eye. So that's your knotless knot with the stripped hair coming out the end of the knot. Now it will be still coming out that side. Now when you tighten both knots in a minute, the hair will actually spin round as the knot tightens and it'll end up on the back of the hook where you want it. So that's your knotless knot done. On the other end, a very simple overhand knot. So loop, make a loop, it's easy with a baiting needle when you're fiddling around with these knots. So go through the loop and pick up the other loop, pull it back through. It's just simple granny knot there. Then with your two knot tighteners, one in the loop, one on the hook, moisten both down and just tease them round, and you'll see the hair actually come from the side of the hook and end up on top of the hook. If you over tighten it, it will go around too far, but you can pull it back, and once you've tied the rig a few times you'll know where the hair wants to start so that it finishes in the right place. So that's the rig, coated right the way through the knot, and then it's stripped on the hair. Okay, so roughly 10mm after the hair on the coating, you want to strip the coating back about 2 cm so it concertinas on the long part. Again, if you've got a stripping tool or strong nails, I'd advise it rather than using your teeth. Be very careful with the hook as well. So what you're left with is a bit of concertinaed coating and a section that's unstripped, and when that's wet and supple, that forms a hinge. Just to get rid of how it's crumpled up, if you just tease it and just flatten it out a little bit, that'll rid of the kink in the rig. So that's it there. Now this is a double bottom bait, so 2 boilies onto your baiting needle, now with the section of the coating that you've stripped off, just a granny knot and leave it slightly loose. Slide the loop down the hair and over the hook, and then pull it tight. A second overhand knot to secure it, pull it tight, and then trim off the 2 tag ends so you're just left with a tight knot. And then just straighten the hair out. You want to be left with something that looks like that. So far I've saved you a rig ring on the shank of the hook and some shrink tubing to form a kicker. And what that kicker does is the rig, the hook and the baits go into the fish's mouth, that kicker turns the hook down into the bottom lip. So that's the stage we're at. And with the 2 boilies together, offer them up, leaving about 1 centimetre in between the hook and the bottom boiler. Loop over the end, form another overhand knot, like so, and then simply slide the two baits down. And then clip on your hair stop or your bait stop. Pull them back down. Just move your improvised silicone. You should be left with something that looks like that. So double bottom bait, just tease that till you're happy with it. Now I'm going to put a bit of putter over the concertina coating. So a small bit of putter. Just pinch it on, roll it round, neaten it up, and that is a double bottom bait rig ready to go onto a quick link on a lead clip system or an inline lead system. Just to talk you through the mechanics of it, with the weight of the two bottom baits and the fact that they come off the hook right round near the point, once it's in the fish's mouth, the weight of the baits help pull the point of the hook down into the mouth, and also this bit of putty here does the same on the outside of the mouth. So basically this whole rig's trying to do that, and the fish's bottom lip's in the middle. So that is my most simple double bottom bait rig. Okay, I think that's enough from me for 1 week. Give you something to think about and have a go with. My following episodes from this, I will show you the single bottom bait, the balance bait and the pop-up using the same rig components, very similar rigs. So until next time, thanks for watching.